afternoon. Welcome to Are You Legal Immigration Clinic on GBKM FM. My name is Jelena Jarosevic. I'm in the studio with my co-host and business partner, Rafina Rashid, and we're here with our wonderful producer, Kenny Bass. Thank you, Kenny, for helping us out with this show. It's our first show. We're very excited to be here with you, and thank you for tuning in, all of our listeners from Canada and around the world. I will take a couple of minutes to introduce myself, and then I will pass it on to Rafina so that she can tell you about herself. As I said, my name is Jelena. I immigrated to Canada in 1994 from the former Yugoslavia. My mother came as a skilled immigrant and had various challenges that come with coming to a new country, looking for work and raising your kids. Many people from my country came as refugees, and they had different kinds of challenges, but nevertheless tried to adapt to a life in a new country. So this is what spiked my interest in immigration law. I decided to go to law school. I always knew that I wanted to do immigration law. So I went to Osgoode Hall Law School in Toronto, Canada, finished in 2007, and since 2008 I have been a lawyer in Canada. I worked for the Government of Canada, for the Department of Justice in their Immigration Law Division for over 6 years, and this is where Rafina and I worked together. We decided to leave in 2016 and open our law firm, Rashid Jarosevic LLB, which helps immigrants, refugees, people who are looking to apply for Canadian citizenship, and anyone who has questions about the Canadian immigration system. So Rafina, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
I would be happy to do so, Jelena. I'll be happy to do so, Jelena. Sorry about that little glitch with the microphone. And I'd also like to let the listeners know that this is our very first time on radio, so please bear with us. As Jelena mentioned, this is our first show, but we're hoping to be with you every Sunday coming up forward in the new year. So a little bit about me. I am also an immigrant. My family immigrated here from Guyana. We immigrated in waves, so my father came first to find employment and housing, and then my mother joined him a year later. And once they had established themselves and they felt comfortable enough, then they went, my mother went back to Guyana and brought myself and my younger brother. That it's a somewhat typical immigrant story. What I've learned from that situation is that the immigration system that's in place today is so much more complicated and complex and difficult to navigate than it was when my parents came here many years ago. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to enter into this field of immigration law, is to help people navigate the system. As Jelena mentioned, we actually met in law school at Osgoode Hall back in 2008. And we parted ways for a couple of years, but we reunited in 2010 when we started working at the Department of Justice. There we represented government departments with regards to various types of immigration, refugee, citizenship applications. And in the course of doing so, we saw a variety of mistakes that people make in their immigration applications. And now that we've started the firm, it's just over a year old, we are in a place where we can help people address those issues at the beginning so that they don't have to wait many years or go through many different processes before their application is accepted. So today is our first show, as I mentioned, and I'm just going to give you a bit of overview of what you can expect. We are, just think of this as Immigration 101, an introduction into Canadian immigration system. So we're going to go over the different government departments that are involved in the immigration, refugee, citizenship process. And then we're also going to give you an idea of what the different programs are, as well as some of the recent developments that have happened in 2017. So, Jelena, why don't you start us off by telling our listeners about the different departments involved in this area of law?
Absolutely. So there are broadly three different departments that most people will come across in their dealings with the Canadian immigration system. And we will talk about each one of those. And then when we talk about the different immigration programs, you will be able to see how they fit within each of these departments and which department is responsible for which program. So as I said, three different ones that we will address. There's Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, there's Canada Border Services Agency, and there's the Immigration and Refugee Board. So I will talk about the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC for short. And there are a lot of acronyms in the immigration world, so you will probably hear us using the acronyms just because we're so used to them, and most people will use the acronym. For example, IRCC used to be known as Citizenship and Immigration Canada, and most people are calling it CIC. And even to this day, the name has changed a couple of years ago, but people are still referring to the department as CIC.
Yelena, why did the name change then?
They change names every once in a while to spice things up. So now we have IRCC instead of CIC. Now the IRCC covers Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. The old name was just Citizenship and Immigration Canada. So this department handles the intake of immigration, refugee and citizenship applications. However, the department does not make decisions on refugee applications. It only makes decisions on immigration and citizenship applications. Regarding refugee applications, these decisions are made by the tribunal that we will talk about, which is the Immigration and Refugee Board. IRCC has offices inside and outside of Canada, so depending on the type of application that you submit and the country that you're applying from, the application could be processed in any number of different places. The applications sometimes that are filed online, because there's an online portal that accepts applications, even though you file them from your country of origin, the application may even be processed in a different country or in Canada, because that's how they spread the work around. Whichever post is less busy will handle the applications. So I mentioned the online portal. There's a possibility of submitting applications online, but not for all types of applications. So again, depending on the type of application that you are filing, you may be able to apply online. This has the benefit of generally being processed faster, but there may be applications which have to be a paper application, so you cannot apply online. You have to mail in your application, generally longer processing times. So when you have a choice and you're looking for quicker processing, online is the way to go for those applications that are available. Rafina can talk about Canada Border Services Agency for you now.
CBSA for short. Canada Border Services Agency is the enforcement arm of this process. So what they do is they regulate entry of individuals in Canada. They also have the ability to detain individuals and arrest individuals.
Are they police, Rafina? How is it that they can arrest individuals?
Canada Border Services Agency has officers. They're not police officers. They do have certain authority under the Immigration, Refugee and Protection Act. So this is a lengthy piece of legislation that we won't bore you with the details with. But officers now have this ability. They don't take you away in cuffs or anything like that, but they do have the ability to make you stay. Let's say, for example, in the airport, or